Hello, 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 empowering wives. Hello, this is Yo Costa, ready for some much needed encouragement. Love to hear it, love to hear it. This is going to be a little different today. Meltori is not on to encourage you guys. I'm on today to and try to encourage you guys from the perspective of a husband. So, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You all know the routine. Shout us out. Where you guys from? Meltori is still going to see this. Just give a few more people an opportunity to jump in. Good day, good day. How's everyone doing today? My name is Yocosta Woodside. I'm the bad person. No, I'm the husband. Just giving everyone an opportunity to jump in. Where you guys coming in from? Let us know where you're coming in from. I'm here in Southern California, Ohio. Welcome, Ohio. Welcome, welcome. St. Lucia, Caribbean. All right. What's going on? Everything cool over there? How's everyone feeling today? Hope everyone's good. ATL, Chicago. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome. Welcome. I see you guys. Hello, Mr. Woodside. Hello. Well, Motoria isn't here. I took her to get some blood work done. So in case you guys haven't been following, but most of you know that, she's been dealing with some medical issues. But my wife is dedicated to this ministry. She's dedicated to you guys. And she still wanted to be consistent. So I'm going to jump on. We haven't done a Q&A in a very, very, very long time. Usually the wives love to hear the perspective of the husband, the changed husband, the husband that she prayed for, the husband that loves the Lord, the husband that would never do anything that would hurt my family again. So I'm going to jump on for a few minutes. I'm probably not going to be on for an hour because I was actually working, and I'm going to jump back on the road in a little bit. But I want to make sure that I can also be here as an encouragement, as a beacon to you guys, hearing it from my perspective as well. All right, so I'm going to give a few more people an opportunity to jump in. And then I'm going to ask you guys if you'd like to drop me the hard questions. I'm built for tough, so you could ask me the nitty gritty. You could ask me whatever you want to ask me from a male's perspective, from a husband's perspective. Now, keep in mind, if you've read Meltoria's book, a lot of things that transpired, a lot of things that I was doing, I didn't even remember it until she brought it up. Even when I read her book, it was surprising to me. It was like, what? I was doing stuff like that. And, so, but I'll try my best to be as transparent with you guys, as honest with you guys about what happened, where we've come from, how far we've come from. But before we get started, I just want to give thanks to God and, just for this opportunity. I give God thanks every day randomly. I'm a truck driver. I also drive Uber sometimes. So um, I'm always on the road. And randomly, I would just give God thanks that, that our situation, that our marriage can encourage, even if it's just one person, can encourage one person to continue to fight, because the world doesn't want us to fight, right? The world wants us to give up on our marriage. The world wants us to, switch out marriage. Like Miltora says all the time, like it's in the food store, this fruit didn't work. Let me take it back, get a refund, and get another one. So, go ahead and grab your questions. While you guys are putting your questions together, I want to tell you about a little story I had when I was driving Uber to kind of put this into perspective, what we're talking about. So I picked up this lady about a month ago. She was about 65, and beautiful black lady, still looks strong. Black don't crack. No disrespect to my white people. But she was telling me that, you know she I was asking her about her husband. She's like, oh, you mean my fourth husband? So I was like, what? She said, yeah, I've been married 4 times. The first husband, me and my first husband are still best friends. We still talk all the time, but I've been married 4 other times. And I've also been in 2 other relationships, in that time. So I was like, oh, okay, okay. So I was like, so, why do you think you switched through 4 different marriages? And she's like, this one, this didn't work, and this one, that didn't work, and this one, that didn't work, to make a long story short. But here's what stuck out to me. She said, but me and my first husband were still best friends. We still talk. During my other marriages, we still communicated. But you've been in 6 other relationships, but your first husband, you're still good. So in my mind, I'm not judging anyone, but in my mind, just being logic, who is a common denominator in those 6 relationships and 4 marriages? In my mind, what I was thinking was maybe you should have stayed with your first husband and worked it out. And that's why you're probably still getting along right now. I'm just saying. I'm just a real person being real, right? And that's why we're out here encouraging you guys to continue to fight for your marriage. That's why we're encouraging you guys to do God's will. Because, and I always ask Military to highlight this, because although it is in the Bible, divorce is in the Bible, and it is an option, when that question was put to Jesus, Jesus said, yes, my prophet did give this law, but this was put in place because of the hardening of your hearts. But it wasn't God's will. So it was put in place, but it wasn't God's will. Let that sink in for a few minutes. So are we out here just fighting for our feelings, how we feel, what we want? Or as kingdom citizens, are we seeking to please God and to follow his will? That's my question to you guys, right? I'm not a talker, so, I'm not going to be talking very long, but I wanted to share that with you guys, answer a few questions. You guys may get about 30, 45 minutes out of me, depending if the questions are coming in or not. But, I wanted to share that with you guys. And I hope those of you on the replay, I hope you have an opportunity to watch this and share it with someone as well. And everyone that's watching this, can you please give Miltori a like and follow? My wife has a prayer video that has 125,000 views, and she has 7,000 followers. Come on. 125,000 views. To God be the glory. The prayer video is powerful. It's so powerful that other people use it on their prayer calls. And to God be the glory for that as well. So, he gets all the glory out of it. But, follow, guys, like, follow, get this out the world gets junk out. We have a lot of junk on YouTube that has millions and millions of views. So why not get a channel that's dedicated to wives, that's dedicated to family, to get, more views in front of more people? Just my perspective on things. So let's jump into some of the questions. My husband believes in God, but he has his doubts about the Bible. How do I get him to turn to God completely? So if he believes in God, he's already turned to God completely. Here's something that worked for me with the Bible. A lot of men, a lot of men read books and a lot of men don't read books. So what I do is I put the Bible app on my phone, and when I'm driving, I just let it play. So I listen to it. So there's a lot of other creative ways that you can encourage your husband to get into his word. You can also set up fun Bible studies. Sometimes my wife would just mention certain Bible scriptures to me. And you may think that because you mention it, it's not having an impact, but it is. You're sowing seeds into your husband. He's going to remember that. So that's just my perspective on that. Husband filed for divorce, changed mind, and dismissed divorce days before the final judgment. He was awarded our newly built house because he could afford it alone. Mom thinks I should divorce. My belief on anyone, not just moms. You guys know the scripture, right? I'm not going to go into scriptures because you guys are seasoned Christians that follow this channel. And if you're not a seasoned Christian, you know that when you get married, you cling to your husband. So mom, dad, uncle, aunt, dog, cat, and none of them really matter. So if she wants you to divorce, respectfully decline. Stick with your husband. You're welcome. Finesse, you're welcome. Carolyn, my husband left our home 5 years ago and settled with a younger lady. They have 2 kids, and he has filed for divorce. So I love to hear stories like this. In multiple videos, I think my wife has mentioned that we know personally of a lady that was in our community that loved her husband. He moved out. He didn't marry the lady, but he moved out, was living with the other lady, had a child with the other lady. Long story short, this woman would if you go by a house on Sunday, she have a house clean, she have food waiting, because she say one day my husband's gonna come home. And she believed. And one day he did come home and he left that lady. So, I'm gonna leave that for you guys to, think on. But my question is always, is there anything too big for God? Like, we could believe God to heal our bodies. We could believe God's going to heal our parents from diseases. We could believe for cars and houses. But when it comes to our marriages, we're like, maybe. So, it may look like it's over, but, there's nothing too big for God. That's just my opinion, and I'm going to stick with that. Margarita, me and my husband have been separated 5 years. We have had 30 false starts. He keeps going back to the other woman. He just left again after coming back. Kids for 2 weeks. So Margarita, I wouldn't really call it false starts, because him coming home isn't the completion of the issue, isn't the completion of him being totally saved, totally recovered from this thing. So until he has salvation and is delivered from the things that cause him to do these things, it's not really a false start. He just hasn't completely been delivered. He hasn't been delivered. That's all it really is. And keep in mind, you have strongholds, right? Because, if you listen to anyone that's cheating, they know that, I shouldn't be doing it, but I'm still doing it, right? So the goal should be, when he gets home, don't celebrate just as yet. Celebrate that small win, but what I'm saying is don't be comfortable in thinking, oh, my husband's home, so everything is great. No, the second phase begins. So that's why I want you guys to think about it. The first stage is, okay, get my husband back, but the second stage is salvation and deliverance. He says he promised to come back. I mean, he says he promises he's coming back. I think that's supposed to be back. That's good. And the crazy thing is, Miss Grant, the crazy thing is sometimes when I listen to my wife and I see some of the comments, you wouldn't believe that your situation where your husband is actually coming back is something that some wives are praying for. So I can give you a second to think about that, right? So your husband is coming back. He come back 30 times and you have an opportunity to see him. My wife coaches some wives that their husband don't even want to touch them. They don't want to come in the house. They don't have nothing to do with them. So I'm saying this to put it into perspective, right? We always want to look at the glass half full. Your husband is coming home. He closer than a lot of women out here. So, keep praying for him. Keep lifting him up. Divorced 5 years, ex-husband, 2 children, and he still doesn't believe in Jesus and doesn't want restoration. Um, so Tanya, when I was messing around, I wouldn't say I didn't believe in Jesus, but I wasn't following God's work at all. I was cursing out my wife, abusing my wife physically, so I was a mess. My thing is, Tanya, if God could turn me around, he could turn anyone around. There isn't anything out there in this world that I wasn't doing that was wrong. Always fighting, always hurting people, guns, drugs, whatever you could think about, I had my hand in it. So, if he could change me, he could change anyone. Um, Carolyn, my husband left. Yeah, I got that one. Sorry, guys. The questions are coming in. Tanya, divorce 5, X2 children, still lesbian. Yeah, I saw that one. I guess you posted that one twice. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. Just trying to get the questions. All right. So it looks like there's only 2 or 3 of you asking questions, which is fine. If anyone else doesn't want to ask questions, that's totally fine. I'm just here to be a beacon, just to be an encouragement, just to let you guys know that we're out here fighting until we die. Me and Military, we're in this until we die. We could be 90 and still telling people, fight for your marriage. That's what God wants. That's what the heart of God wants, for you to fight for your marriage. Welcome, chosen daughter, welcome. So any other questions, guys? I got to head back out to work. Any other questions? Just wanted to step in. Like I said earlier, took my wife to doctor today. She's fine, but she was going to be kind of late. So, I said I'd jump on because I haven't been on in a long time, just to show my face and to let you guys know that your prayers are not falling on deaf ears. That, my wife isn't special. She isn't some superhero to the world. She's definitely a superhero to me, but she isn't some superhero to the world to where she was so strong that she fought for her husband, and she's different from any of you guys. If she could do it, you guys can do it as well. Here we go. My husband and I will be married for 10 years this year. 5-year-old son, born again, Christian, ministry and worship. We stopped after my son's birth. I went back to God and he hasn't. Lasas or whatever it is. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name correctly. What's your question? So you said your husband hasn't gone back to God. What's your question? Are you guys still married? Are you still in a good relationship? Is it just you're wondering why he hasn't gone back to where he was with God? Is that the question? I appreciate you guys as well, Destiny. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys supporting my wife. God has seen me through every aspect of marriage in his hardest. I'm a praying woman. Good. That's amazing. I commend you. Because a lot of people say that they're praying and they're not really praying. So I commend you. How do we not focus on what is seen? Ooh, good question. Probably a better question for my wife, but good question. So everything about this fight, and it doesn't even have to be infidelity, right? It could be that your husband is a drunkard, your husband's on alcohol, whatever it is. Everything about this starts spiritually, right? You check your husband's bloodline. It starts spiritually. And like my wife mentions a lot of times, it's not a physical battle, it's a spiritual battle. Even in churches Sunday, the pastor was talking about the same thing. We tend to want to fight everything that we see with our physical body, saying things, doing things, and not taking it in the prayer closet where it should be fought, right? So, you're going to focus on what's seen. So I'm not going to sit here and try to be some fake prophet or something and say, oh, don't worry about it. You're not going to hurt. That's garbage. That's garbage. You could hurt. My wife used to hurt so much that, sorry, getting a little emotional there. So my wife used to hurt so bad that sometimes I'd come home and she would fall out, literally fall out in the dirt. Couldn't get up. I had to lift her up. So I'm saying that to say it hurts, but you just have to try to control your flesh. Like when you fast, you don't eat food because you're telling your flesh, my spirit man is stronger than you. It's the same aspect. It's going to hurt, but you got to try and replace it with positive things. So I'm not going to say it's not going to hurt because it does. My husband is having a hard time leaving the other woman because he just had a daughter with her. We've been separated 5.5 years. How do we approach that? So Erica, great question. That's probably easier said than done. But how I would approach that, Erica, is support him because it's still his child. If he's not messing with the woman, which is a whole different ballgame with the woman, but he just wants to be in his child's life, support him. Because that's one thing that my wife did. Um, when I had my son outside, she was upset. It hurt. It was terrible. But when it came down, she was like, you know what? He's your child, so we need to get him. We need to take him pampers. We need to make sure he's good. And fast forward now, he lives with us and he calls her mom. And he probably sees her, more than his mom, and he respects her and he honors her. So, how you would deal with that is just support him, let him know you still love him despite his mistake. And if you truly forgive him, because that's another thing I think Tori should talk about, because a lot of people say they forgive, but they don't. Because if you forgive someone, you're not going to keep throwing it in their face. If you forgive someone, you're going to be positive moving forward. So, if you truly forgave him, then you should be able to stand by his side and say, you know what, I got you because I love you and I'm going to support you even through this. And he's going to appreciate it later. Um, what I physically, sorry, what I physically hurt. Now, keep in mind, guys, this ain't me being grammatically incorrect. I reading this how it is. What I physically hurt my husband and he doesn't see me as his wife. I pray for him, help him all the time. He doesn't care and seems hopeless, like he'll never wake up. What more to do? What I physically hurt my husband. I'm not sure about the first part of it, but I think if you're praying, you can't get weary in praying. If you don't know my wife's story, y'all go grab her book. You know, When Wives Fight. It's on Amazon. Um, I used to be coming home from gambling out. Listen, we had our own apartment. We were um, landlords. We were young landlords. I would take our rent money and go and gamble it out. Yeah, put that in perspective. And my wife would still be saying, use my man of God. And I would be saying, you got to be crazy, woman. I'd cuss my wife out. So, don't get tired praying. Don't get weary and don't get weary in praying because I used to look at my wife like she's crazy. Now I honor her. I honor the dirt she walks on. So, oh, you said you physically hurt your husband. Okay. Okay. Understandable. Okay. So I'm sure that, if he loves you, if you continue to pray, he can forgive you. I mean, my wife forgave me for all the mess I did. So, he can definitely forgive you for hurting him. If you didn't kill him, he's still alive. He can forgive you. If his heart isn't hardened, he can forgive you. Destiny, feel like I'm thinking about my husband all the time. I pray, but don't want to be thinking about him all the time. Ain't nothing wrong with thinking about him all the time, Destiny. That's your husband. Y'all are one, right? Ain't nothing wrong with thinking about your husband all the time. Nothing's wrong with that. Now, if you're in a journey to focus on uplifting yourself and to get closer to God, well, just make sure that you do that. But there's nothing wrong with thinking about your husband every day. That's you. That's like thinking about yourself. Do you guys, do we really understand what it means to become one? Would you neglect your own body? Do you not think about your own body every single day? Absolutely, right? This is your husband. Y'all is one. You can think about him, Destiny. So that's totally fine. That's nothing wrong with that. Continue to uplift your husband. Continue to pray for him. Continue to support him. How can I keep calm despite all the insults I receive from my husband? Listen, you can have to ask Toya about that one because I call Toya everything but a woman of God. I know how she keep calm. And to be honest, sometimes she ain't keep calm. Sometimes she blow up and round me back too, right? So we ain't out there trying to make y'all think that we are some perfect people. And every time I curse at her, she's like, no. Sometimes she round me out too, you know. But I don't know how to keep calm. Me personally, I still pray for a spirit of patience because when people screaming and insulting me, if I'm in a position where I can't walk away, I ready to hit you. That's how I used to be. So you gotta ask Matori how she kept calm. Destiny says, "How can I stop this?" Don't stop it, Destiny. Keep thinking about your husband. Keep praying for your husband. Keep sending your husband texts. Listen, my wife used to send me text messages, sweet text messages, and I used to just browse past them like there was nothing. But they planted a seed in me. My husband has changed from his first other woman to another other woman. Now he posts videos kissing her online, threatening me with a voice that literally hurts. But I still love my husband. I still pray for him. It's hard. Yeah, it is hard. That's what I'm here to tell you all. This is not easy. I don't know if Toya ever tell you all this is an easy battle, but it is not. It is physically draining. It is painful. It's embarrassing. So, but if you believe God, just continue to pray and uplift your husband. One thing to answer this question from my perspective, one thing that really softened my heart and changed me? My wife's unwavering belief and prayers. That's what moved me. Like, no matter what I do, she's still calling me a man of God. She's still saying we can get through this. That's what really, really moved me. So you be that unwavering, what do you call them? Lights with chips is used in the rough. Not beacon, lighthouses. There you go. Be that unwavering lighthouse that even through the storm, even through a hurricane, even when it's pitch dark, that beacon is still spinning, right? That light is still spinning. I'm still here. I'm still here. No matter how rough the water gets, no matter how high the waves get, I'm still here. So be that person. Majority of my sorry, here it is. Majority of my concerns are being addressed today. I was about to go and permanently leave my husband. Wow. Well, to God be the glory, chosen daughter. I'm glad that I jumped on today. I'm glad that God used me as a vessel to help you. He says if I hadn't hurt him, it would be easier, which probably is true, Nini, if you hadn't physically hurt him. But what you can do is show him. Don't tell him. Show him that this will never happen again. Like, I physically hurt my wife, and I told her I would never do it again, but I've also shown that to her. I've been in positions where I was burning up, where I was mad, but I would never hit my wife again. So show him that I won't do it. Don't, because actions speak a lot louder than words. My husband has had 2 kids with other women. I believe lives abroad in another country, but he still says stays in her house when he goes to visit those kids. I'm struggling with this. Yeah, that's a tough one, Gina. Let me see. He lives abroad in another country, but he still stays in her house. Okay, so your husband left the house. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty hard, Gina. But what's your question to me? How do you deal with that? Or, what's your question to me about it? Yeah, answer my concerns with other women talking now. Okay. Jasmine, I'm still learning how to deal with my husband because he was still messing with the other woman who has 2 children with now outside of our marriage. Yeah, that's tough, Jasmine. It's tough, but here is a question I always, and my wife highlights this as well. Here's a question that you guys should ask yourself before you jump on these trains to fight for your marriage. The first question should be, do I want my marriage? Just sit down and think about it. Do I still want this marriage? Because remember, it's still a choice, right? We don't come here and condemn people that get divorced. We don't ever come here and say, oh, if you get divorced, you're a bad person. No, 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 no. We just highlight that it's not God's heart and will that we divorce. That's all. So, sit down and ask yourself, do I want this marriage? And if you want the marriage, then start to put things in line on what you're going to do to fight for it. And that includes praying despite what he's doing. Um, my husband petitioned divorce papers a month ago, but still haven't served me. Don't know what to do. Haven't communicated for over a month now. What you mean by you don't know what to do? If you love your husband and you still want the marriage, go talk to your husband. Let him know you ain't signing no divorce papers. Let him know you love him and you hope that y'all could get back to where y'all, well, not even get back to where y'all was, because the marriage that I have now is 1,000 times better than the marriage I had with my wife before. So, when you say you don't know what to do, go talk to your husband. That's yours. I mean, I want to be sensitive about this, but sometimes we got to be real. Miss Robinson, if this was your child, so let's say this was a child, and this child was on drugs, this child was in the streets, this child moved to Mars, wouldn't you go find a way to buy a space shuttle to go find your child? Just let's think about it for a second. Why we don't have that same type urge for our husbands that God gave to us, that became one with us? So, you say you don't know what to do, go talk to your husband. This is a marathon, but it's God's will. Yes, it's definitely not a sprint. I like that. Do you think a prodigal spouse has peace? I'm not sure what that means, Gina. Sorry. I'm excited for restoration. Absolutely, you should be. I could tell you on the other side, it's sweet. Everything about it is beautiful. Everything about it is beautiful. How did you make your wife comfortable after you came back home, especially with the baby? Ooh, great question. So I just did everything that I thought I would have wanted if it was me. So I told my wife, I'm not making a move without you. I told my wife, if you're not comfortable with situations, I'm not going to even be in a situation. Like literally, I told my wife, I wouldn't even talk to my son until you're comfortable. I put her above everyone else. So, that's what I did. I made her comfortable by doing what I think would have made me comfortable. That she was in charge and no decision was going to be made without her knowing and understanding. My husband told me he believes in God, but will never be holy and fears he's doing something wrong being with another woman. God would check him. Margarita, trust me, he's going to be convicted. If he has the Holy Spirit in him, the God that we serve, he's going to be convicted. Absolutely. At what point did you decide to come back to your wife? I don't remember the exact date, but I know that I don't. It happened so swiftly, like it happened. The transition was so, I can't even put my finger on when it happened. We were just so good, so happy celebrating that it did happen that, to be honest, I can't even remember, to be honest. How do you deal with that, please, as he still stays in her house when he goes to visit the kids? There's nothing you can do physically, but just keep uplifting your husband, Gina, and hoping and asking God to change his heart, to soften his heart, so that he can see the right way and do the right things. Pray for wisdom. That's one thing that my wife prayed for a lot for me. Pray for wisdom, because that covers a lot of the questions that you guys are asking. Because if your husband is wise in his decisions, he's not going to do things that is going to hurt his family. My husband is verbally abusive daily with cursing, shaming, then will listen to sermons and gospel. I never reciprocate. Can you explain the mental health issues? Whew. Mm, I'm sure I put my wife through some mental instabilities. She would have to elaborate on how she dealt with it, but my heart goes out to you because I know that's not easy to deal with. But like I mentioned before, even when I did these things to my wife, she always still called me her man of God. She was always at Beacon, at Lighthouse. She never wavered, guys. My wife never wavered. Think about it. She believed something so hard that it came to life. So, just continue doing what you're doing. If you could avoid it, don't curse him back. Just be the wife that God wants you to be, and he's going to see it. Thousands full blessings and prosperous new year, Mr. Woodside and Military. Everyone, love you guys. Thank you. I appreciate that. I want him to try. We had multiple false starts. If I go and approach, listen, y'all stop saying false starts. It ain't ever stop until your husband has been delivered and he has salvation. It ain't stop. So there ain't no false start. Y'all stop. Don't put that in your mind because that's not true. All right. So two more questions and I gotta go, guys. After I hurt my husband, he abandoned me. It's been 3 years. He doesn't want to be around me, but I continue to help him financially. How do I show him if he doesn't want to be around me? Nini, go be around him. You can still date him. Go look for your husband if you still love him. You know what he like. You're his wife. You know where he eats. You know where he works. You know, show him that you love him so much. Pop up outside of his work. Take him to lunch. I just want to be with you. Those kind of things. You know what I mean? And I could understand if you hurt him, he probably scared you could hurt him again. So, show him. You're welcome, Miss Robertson. You're welcome. All right, last thing. As a husband who once left your wife to be with other woman, did you by chance miss your wife? Secondly, did you compare her to your wife? Did you see qualities only your wife possessed? Great questions. With me, I didn't completely leave, and everyone's scenario is different. I never completely left my wife for another woman. I wanted my cake and eat it too. So I wanted to cheat, but I still love my wife. I still wanted my wife. And absolutely, I never, and this is me personally, to be honest, the people I cheated with, I never compared them to my wife because they couldn't really, they can't come, I ain't trying to insult no one, but they can't come close to her qualities. So it was just like, I just wanted to cheat, you know what I mean? And have my wife as well. They were not on the same level in any way. Like, all right, let me put it in perspective. These aren't people that I would say if I wasn't married, that I would say, oh, let me go marry this person at that time. That's how I felt. So that's just me. Everyone's scenario is different. All right. All right, guys. Appreciate you jumping on. Appreciate you supporting my wife, supporting this ministry. Um, I just want to be an encouragement. Like I said, please, guys, remember that there's nothing too big for God. There's nothing too big for our Father. We are kingdom citizens. So, if you truly believe in Him and you believe that He can do everything else in this world, you can believe for your marriage as well. You know what I mean? But definitely go ahead and ask yourself that question before you get into this. Do I really want my marriage? Because, if you don't, then you may be in the wrong position, right? Do I really want this marriage? All right. You're welcome, guys. You're absolutely welcome. Have yourself an amazing day. Share this video with someone. Let people know that we're still out here fighting for marriages, that everyone hasn't turned their back on marriages. We're still out here fighting. All right. Have a great day.